Welcome back to the Own It Show. We're here today talking about everything you should know about online ads before you get started. And we have special guest today, Britt Holmes, who is the founder of Merit Media, helping business owners to grow online with ads. And so thank you so much for being on the show today, Britt. Tell us more about you.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited. Truthfully, I've never done a live screen, so let's hope this works out well. So my name is Britt Holmes. I've been in the advertising agency advertising business for over 14 years. I founded Merit Media Inc. About 4 years ago. And our whole purpose is to help small businesses to grow online through ads. And oftentimes what we do is we find that our clients are, through working with us, growing their businesses from maybe being a solo practitioner through to having team members and really just being part of their scaling journey so that they can buy back some of their time and, really live a full life in the business world. Essentially, our mission is to get as many people online that should be online so that they can advertise and grow their businesses. Oftentimes, small businesses are under the belief that they cannot afford advertising. And one of our missions was to reduce our fees by 50% while still ensuring that our clients are getting the strongest performance possible. So our fees are, as I said, 50% lower than any of our competitors with a comparable time frame. So you're not getting less quality, you're just simply getting more of what really moves the needle on your accounts and less of the extra added on stuff like, monthly calls where you're just sitting there talking about a few $100s. We really like to put the money where it needs to be, and that is driving action in your business through investing in, hands on the keyboard as opposed to talking about what we could do to create results. Before I started Merit Media, I climbed the corporate ladder. I did over a decade there, starting out as a coordinator, working my way all the way up to a VP. And what I realized through that time was that while I was still growing and learning more, working with amazing clients globally, what actually that looked like was me spending less time with my family and also hitting burnout. And it really was just not a sustainable life for me. When I was up at that 10-year mark, I was the VP of the company. I was managing clients internationally. I was working 16 to 18 hours a day. And I also had 2 kids under 2 in the middle of the pandemic. And the day that I quit, I actually had a seizure. Just my body was like totally like your body keeps score. And the score was not on my favor. So then I realized that there was an opportunity to help smaller businesses to get online without essentially taking advantage of them with these inflated agency fees, where oftentimes, you talk to the highest level person at a company and you think, oh my God, these people are so smart. They're going to do so many great things for my business. But in reality, you're the smallest person at the agency in terms of clients. And then they just put their junior people on and start training you or training them on your account, which often is a very expensive learning for you. So that's basically how we got to be Merit Media, where we service small businesses with small budgets and drive big impact.
Oh, I love that. They serve small businesses with small budgets to drive big impact. Now, that's so magical because if you pause and think about it, most people actually are afraid to start ads because of the cost. And because of the horror stories of things like that, where they've put in all this time, energy, and money, and they didn't get the return. And also, we know that some of the horror stories is because, and we had you in as a guest speaker in our program, and it was amazing. And you had shared how a lot of people will do it themselves and incorrectly, and then they say it doesn't work. And I like how you said, you could learn a whole new business because it's a whole business on its own, or you could hire somebody to do it. So I'm excited to help people understand like why use ads, when to use ads, why to get started, and how to get started, and why it's important to also understand who you're hiring, like people like Merit Media and Britt, so that you can get that best results. it really can help us scale. And it can help put you in front of so many other audiences and increase your ecosystem, increase your reach, your impact, if done properly. So let's dive into those tips today so people can understand what that looks like. And so, first of all, why use online ads?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that there's a time and a place to use online ads. It is, as I always say to anyone that books a discovery call, this is not your saving grace. This is not the Hail Mary. You have to have put in the work and done the steps to, cover off all the bases where stuff is free, like your social media, have a website that's already working for you. Know who your client base is because it's going to end up being more cost effective for you once you get to the point where you want to run ads. So that's kind of when that's like, I'm going out of order here, but that's kind of when we like to start using ads. But why you want to use ads is to amplify something that's already working really well for you. So we're not, you shouldn't be starting the first day you start your business. You really should kind of have a pretty strong understanding of what your business stands for, who you want to help, those types of things. And then once you're ready for that, that's when you run ads because it'll give you more reach. It's also a lot more time saving for you to choose to run ads as opposed to burning yourself out trying to be loud on the internet via social media, especially nowadays where there's so much of that volume of people trying to be like, hey, you should work with me. Ads at least takes that work away from you. So like you're still getting your message across, but it's in a way that the robots are essentially doing it for you so that you can focus on other areas of your business that can actually build you and build up more income for you. So that's kind of when you should be using or like why you should be using online ads is basically you've done all of the work, you've put in the reps, and now you're at a point where I can take more, I want more. Let's do it.
And I just want to pause there and note to everyone who's listening, note that she said, set everything else up first. So first of all, use all your free streams and make sure your branding is done, your funnels are set up, because you can set up an ad to go to your profile or to your offer, to your website. But if that's not set up properly to entertain, to curate to that ideal client and speak their language and actually work, then the ad doesn't work. And it's not that the ad didn't work, it's that what happened on the other side of the ad didn't work, right? So you can look at the ad numbers and it might say, yeah, you got all these amazing views and then all these click-throughs and then they died off, right? So if you're looking at that, that's why she's saying you got to make sure your back end is fully set up and loaded so that when you do the ad, it actually works, because the ad could work itself, but what you have on the other side also has to work. So making sure, you've got that branding done, you've audited your socials, you've audited your website, you've got the SEO, everything's converting. And then you go and hire the ads person or hire Britt, right? That's super, super important. I think, like you said, when you get on calls with people and you find out when they do a discovery call, if they don't have that all set up, you send them away with tasks and homework to do so, and then come back so that they're not throwing their money away.
100%. And I think that that's often such a misconception. Like people always come and they're like, oh, well, business isn't good right now. And like, I can barely afford this and like all of that stuff. And I'm like, I don't want that pressure. Like that's a lot of pressure to put on one system when, we really have to make sure everything makes sense first and then dive into ads when it's energetically makes sense for you.
And that's one of the key things that I love to work in our program is to look at the business holistically. And that would mean to look at all the systems, right? So making sure everything is streamlined before you get into that ad. And then the ad can really help you amplify. And like you said, there's so much noise online today. There's even channels that are all made by AI. There's these new food ones I'm watching, and the one was like an onion. It's like, don't put me in the fridge because it molds or whatever. So now I'm following all these channels that are just AI. So, and people are making so much money from them, not even personal brands, although personal brands are exploding for this year. But it is going to be more important now than ever that you amplify your message online and you are more present as possible, because there is so much noise. People they say are most likely to buy from one of the last three people they saw and interacted with. So you want to make sure that's you. And how do you do that without being on at your desk 24/7 or on your phone, and actually get to be in your own life instead of online? You get to be in your own reality and have that working for you. It can be magic. So when it comes to ads, we explained a little bit about when to start using it. The next is about the money. So like how much to spend, and when do you start spending that much? Do you start small? Do you go large? Like what does that look like when they're setting it up, so they can have an idea?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of our clients that we work with generally service a small area, and then they also have the ability to service online as well, whether it's for select provinces or international or global, sorry, nationally. What we always say to our clients is we like to start small and grow with success. So there's lots of agencies that will say, "Oh yeah, you want to target all of Canada? That's great," or all of the US, that's great. So you can just, give us 30 grand and we'll just do that for you. And, just trust us, the results will come. And for me, that's just not very ethical. Obviously, I've had to do that before when I was working on the corporate side. But when you're working with people and they're real dollars, like these are like dollars that either get to go to feed the family and improve the life or grow the business. And I'm very aware of that because I also am a small business owner. So we always start small and prove our concept. In terms of financial investment, what we always say to our clients, depending on what industry they're in, starting anywhere between $500 and $1,000 per month in terms of media spend, which is what we would give Google or the Facebooks and Instagrams of the world to have our ads show. Now, is this going to give you that like all-encompassing reach? No, but we don't want that at the beginning because what we want to do is prove concept. We want to make sure that we have profiled your ideal client so well that we are targeting them. And we usually look at where's your existing client base and who are they? We create the message that's in alignment with your landing page, as well as the messaging, the strategy, and the goals that you have as a business, and put that forward. We then, over time, once we see, oh, okay, we're getting these people in, these desired clients, they're good quality leads. We're getting them in and we're optimizing, which is basically just nerd for saying we're changing different levers on the back end to make sure that we're capturing more of the same people. What ends up happening over time is that your cost per click, which is how much you're paying per click, is decreasing, which means that you have the ability to capture more of an audience within that set budget. It gets to a point where we're like, we're as cheap as possible. And I'm not saying it's like 0 pennies, but like, it could have gone from like $5 per click down to $3 per click, sometimes lower. But it gets to a point where like, if you give us more money, we can get you more. Do you want more? It's a lot easier for a business, especially a small business, to be like, hey, yeah, you've already put money back in my bank account. You've already filled my client load or whatever it is. Have more. As opposed to saying, hey, give me 10, 20, 30 grand. I might prove results for you, but just give me some time and I'll figure it out. I don't like to start like that. I'd rather build the trust and kind of grow the trust over time with our clients than otherwise. Obviously, ads are an infinite pot where you can, especially if you're working on like Meta, so like Instagram and Facebook, that pot is endless. Like we can put millions of dollars in there. Like, you'll see influencers that are spending that, but that's not a reality for most people. So I think that I like to come to people and say, hey, look, you don't have to be doing that to have results. Like we have clients that spend $500 a month and they're getting anywhere from 8 to 22 leads per month. I'm not saying it's magic, but what I am saying is that once you put in the work and you're actively managing these accounts, you can have success with very little money. Not no money, but it is possible.
And so, just to reiterate there, most people in most places start with this massive budget. It's kind of like throwing spaghetti at a wall to seeing what sticks. And instead, what she's recommending and what they do is actually start with smaller. And they're going to hone in on that ideal client. And once that's working, then you put more money in on what's working instead of starting on the large budget and trying to figure out if it works, right? You want to hone in, nail that ideal client, know that you're reaching them online, then you can add more money and that can multiply. And that is the best strategy. And I know from my business coach, that's what we were taught was that way. And they do spend millions of dollars on meta ads, like just meta ads, and it converts. But things started to change in 2021. With meta ads and things online, and they weren't converting the way they used to. And so that's when, instead of, throwing that large budget out there, it's so important now more than ever to start smaller, hone in, make sure it works, get the pay per click as low as possible, and then add the budget, increase the budget, because otherwise you're really just, it's a waste of money, right? But I'm really grateful. I had a wonderful person who helped me with my ads when I started online. I had a sex business.
Ooh,
Well, good. I love live. That's great.
OnlyFans.
Oh my God, Jesus. Which has nothing to do with one or the other. So I digress. I had a successful business in Toronto as a personal trainer, nutritionist, and lifestyle coach. And I had been there for 10 years. And so I was turning clients away. I had referrals coming in. My business was built on referrals. And then I wanted to launch online. And all of a sudden, I'm coming in with a new business, a new offer, is like a rebrand. And so I thought the quickest and best way to do this would be through ads. That's going to maximize my reach. So I worked with a business coach, did all the things on the back end, had the right team, set everything up. And we did a series of ads, probably for at least the 6 months when I first started online. And that's how I built my audience. And it was a game changer. And I do believe it helped the speed up my results and actually helped me have my very first launch online be a successful close. And I still remember it was so exciting, like cold leads, random people you don't know, they're finding you online, you're doing sales in the DM, and you've never met this person in person, and they are so touched by what you do and all the content you shared and everything that they want to work with you. And it's amazing because they're global and they get to come and work with you and you get to serve them. And that's when I realized, like, wow, this is the power of the internet. This is the power of building an online business. No more word of mouth, small town. I was in Toronto, so it's not small, but it's small compared to globally. And it truly is the one thing I helped me launch online and be successful with speed. Because I do think it would have took a lot longer to build up that ecosystem, that influence, that brand awareness, and those qualified leads if I hadn't have done that. And so there's the managing fee for the person, and then there is the monthly fee that we put into our ads as well. And I think we're doing $500 to $800 a month for the ads, and we did that for a while. And like I said, it worked. It converted. It helped us build our brand online. Right now, we're working on managing leads. We got so many. Actually, looking to bring on another person to help with that. And then when we can manage what we already have, we will come back to doing the ads. And I look forward to working with you to help us scale so we can serve more people nationally and internationally. And it's a game changer if you haven't thought about it. It's an investment and it's worth it. Just again, making sure you've got everything set up and converting on your back end. So after that story, let's share with them how to choose the ads and to start with and why. Because when you came in, you talked about, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Meta, Google, there's tons of different online ads. I think most people just think about Meta, but there's lots of different
Mhm.
options. So tell us about that.
Yeah, for sure. So generally when we do discovery calls, and once I kind of get an understanding about a given business, I'll be like, oh, you need to be here. Like it's very easy for me to decipher, but the kind of baseline is that if you're a business that just like you're like we're established, we want some warm leads. We want people that are already putting their hand up, actively saying like, "Hey, I'm looking for you." That's the kind of people where you would find them on Google. So that's anyone that, maybe has like a brick and mortar location, a local health and wellness, those kinds of people. I think it's a really great space for you to play in. On the other side, if you're, twofold. So if you're A, looking for awareness, or B, if you're a product-based business, Meta is where you need to be, or TikTok. But generally speaking, we don't put as many clients on TikTok. We kind of keep them in the metaverse. And that's because for product based, it's like that quick win of like the dopamine hit kind of people, right? We're not selling houses on Meta. Like it's those quick, like, the under $300 purchases where, people see them and they're like, you know what, I'm having a bad day. I definitely need a candle. Boom. Like buy it right away kind of thing. Or if you're a newer business and you're like, I really just need people to know that I exist, that's a great space for Meta as well because it's a lot of awareness based. It's not necessarily going to lead to a direct result of like, somebody booking in with you. It's a little bit of a longer time frame for that conversion to come through. But that's kind of the two places we like to play most often. TikTok, we've seen success with it. It can be very cheap from a cost per click perspective, but the minimums to play, they have budget minimums. So those often change too. So the more you get success from them, the more you have as your baseline of what you have to spend per month. So that one's
Which
a little bit trickier.
which is different, right? Where you're talking about like with the meta ads, we want to get it down to the lowest cost per click, and then you can put in more, but it also creates the volume for you, but it's your choice. Where
Hmm.
TikTok, you're saying it's telling you if you want to play this game, you actually have to spend this much. So not as
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
it's not as friendly. But that also, when you're paying 3 cents for a click, sometimes you can justify that depending on what your business is, right? Like if you're trying to sell a lot of, I don't know, $15 cute keychains, heck yeah, let's go. Like if I'm paying 3 cents for a sale, it makes sense, right? So that's the whole thing. When selecting a platform, you really have to think about like, what is the goal here? Because you're going to hear on the internet that you should be everywhere, but you don't have to be everywhere. You have to be somewhere really well. And then once you're so good at that, that's when I always say to our clients, okay, you want to go out here? Let's go here. If you are a corporation, obviously they're stacked. Like they're like, we're here, we're there, whatever. Been there, done that. I've set clients up like that. It's great. But the reality is for most businesses is we're not spending 100K per month, right? So let's be smart about it. And instead of also the other time, people will be like, well, I want a little here and I want a little there and a little bit. So you want a lot of nothing is basically what's happening. So again, like anything in business, being focused and set on where you need to be and driving that impact is really what makes most sense for success.
I'm excited to grow and scale on YouTube and excited to put some ads on there myself. Never done that before. We've only done Meta, and I know you've talked about it. So, what's the value of the YouTube ads?
Yeah, for sure. So YouTube ads are really great. And that obviously you can exist in that space. The thing that is really fun about the tracking side of it, because I'm a nerd, is that you're able to see the completion of your video. So you'll be able to know, like, are people only watching it to the 25, 50, 75, and 100? And I think that's really important when you are creating video content to know like, oh yeah, like these videos are far too long, or like what's the flow of that video and how can we change that? For me, getting that information is probably more important almost because then you can tailor future videos to appease that kind of usership. or consumership. So I think for me, that's the most exciting part about running ads on YouTube is that you can kind of get that as a value add of obviously you're still going to get the increased reach and awareness as well as some leads or conversions, whatever you're working towards. But for me as a business owner, that's the cool part. I'm like, you get to really see what's working and like when people are leaving you.
Yeah, and really turn the right levers to get that really converting.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I love it. Was there anything else you wanted to add about why, when, how much, where to start? Was there anything else you wanted to add?
I'm just going to do my general call out in that when you're thinking about running ads, selecting how you want to go about running those ads is quite important. So DIYing your ads, it's you're going to be led to believe that it's quite easy to do so because there's a lot of influencers online that say that it's really easy. You just follow their course and then all of a sudden you're a millionaire. Like you spend $5 and somehow magically you're getting 100 leads. It doesn't make sense in the math, but it works because they say so. Don't fall for that. If you are making a decision to DIY, just know that once you finish setting up your campaign and you go live, you will be on your own to figure out how to actually optimize your account to make the money. It is not a set it and forget it, which is also often, you just print money. That's not the case. So I think that if you are choosing to run a DIY ad, you really do have to be aware that you're going to be investing 5, 10, 15 hours per week struggling through Reddit feeds trying to figure out how to optimize your account. If you have the time for that, that is perfect. But I think that that's the one thing that oftentimes business owners forget when choosing to outsource or not is the cost to do that business. Like for me, like I don't even do my own groceries most of the time because it's cheaper for me to pay the extra $10 and have the Uber people pick it up than for me to step away from my desk. So I think that we need to be aware of that. And then the other thing is if you are selecting an agency, just look at what their client base is. How much are their other clients spending? Because if your budget is on the lower end of where their client budgets are, you're going to get the worst people on your account. They will tell you when you go into meetings with agencies, you only ever talk to the highest level people. They give you the star of the show. You're not getting the star of the show. I know that. I have sold that before. So I think that that's the other thing is making sure that, but also if somebody's talking to you with extreme jargon, that generally is an indicator that they maybe don't know so much about what they're actually saying. Because, and as somebody that's not in it, you'll be like, oh my God, they're so smart. They're saying all these big words. Just be a little bit more weary of that because that generally means that they can regurgitate, but they can't actually simplify it in a way that a general public could. So those are kind of my points. But again, wishing you the best, and paid ads can definitely become a money machine for you when they are done right.
Actually, I have a friend doing meta ads right now for her vault. She's a hypnotherapist and she does weight loss and helps people with binge eating and stuff. Anyways, it's really, really niche and specific. And she created this amazing vault and she was really scared. She's like, I'm going to put $2,000 a month into these ads and, I'm hoping it works at not doing it herself, by the way. Right. And
I was like,
yes, and it's been amazing, and it's
yeah.
allowed her to take a little bit of a step back in her business, have more clients, more money, hire another team member. Just went on vacation. Ads are still running, still making money while she's sleeping on the vacation. Because she set it up to an auto green course, like that's the magic, right?
Yeah.
And she had everything running on the back end. Everything was set up. But that's what's possible for you guys. So if and when you're ready, I want you to make sure you reach out to Britt Holmes at Merit Media. It's a great opportunity if you're ready to increase your brand awareness, increase your reach, increase your sales, and increase your service. So tell us how people can connect with you more.
Yeah, for sure. So I believe in the show notes, we're going to have the appointment scheduler. So I would love people to just book a discovery call. So if you are interested in running ads, there's no pressure if you don't want to run them with me or whatnot. but I'd rather have that conversation as opposed to having anyone fill out a contact form or go through a freebie, because generally people kind of know when they want to run ads or don't, or have questions, and I'd rather be able to directly respond to you that way. And you can find us otherwise on Instagram at Merit Media Inc. or meritmedia.com.
I love that, guys. So we'll have all that in the show notes for you. So you can book a discovery call, find out if it's for you, if it's the right time, if Brittany's going to send you away with tasks or homework, or dive in to start optimizing ads with you so you can scale with simplicity. And the great opportunity just to even learn where you are. Right? So book that discovery call. Great opportunity. Thank you, Brittany, for giving that time. And we always love to wrap up the show with your favorite book recommendation and why. So tell us about that.
Yeah, for sure. So as I've kind of like alluded to it a few times in this meeting, but one of the greatest books that I read when I was a little bit earlier in my business was Buy Back Your Time. Because I am a chronic overworker. I am the person that is like, I'll just put 20 hours into the day and work. It's totally fine. What this book did was it helped me to understand that you don't have to do all the things. And one of the biggest quotes that they have, I think it's along the lines of like 80% done is better than, 0% done, right? So 80% done is great. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can come in with that last little bit and finalize and make it perfect. But being able to understand the value of your time, and then also like outsourcing things that are like lesser cost tasks where it's not your zone of genius, it's saved me tons of time. I've not been burnt out in 4 years. I have a team of 5. Like, business is successful and profitable. And I think that it's just one of those books that kind of helps you do a little bit of a mindset shift, especially as an entrepreneur, where you're like, you think you have to do it all. You shouldn't do it all. And so it's Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I had it both on audiobook and in physical. Both are great. It's a great read for while you're driving, or a great audio read for while you're driving, though, for sure.
Love that. I'll be getting that on my Audible next, or my Spotify. Thank you so much. And guys, like she said, we want to learn to delegate and automate as much as possible so that you can focus your time and energy on your zone of genius. And sometimes that takes time to get yourself there. And if you don't, then we do end up burning out and being the everything hat wearer in the business. So definitely check out that book. And thank you so much, Brittany, for being on the show. I'm super excited for more people to increase their reach, increase their sales and their brand awareness with ads. And guys, remember, book that discovery call with Brittany. Check out Merit Media. And thank you again so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. It's been a great time. Have a good one.
Absolutely. And remember, everybody, stay happy, healthy, wealthy, and what is the best that can happen? We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.